Even while vacationing, Carnegie sought money-making opportunities. During the war, Edgar Thomson had experimented with all steel rails imported from Europe, and Carnegie had overseen their installation at Pittsburgh. The rails proved too brittle for the main line where trains moved at higher speeds, but they did last over a year on the sidings, easily justifying the high price the British firms exacted. The idea of steel replacing iron gnawed at Carnegie. So, while he was in London in 1865, he, along with Dodd, investigated iron rails capped with steel, manufactured with a new process invented by Englishman Thomas Dodds. The product was called Doddized rails. If the reports proved true, these rails were stronger and cheaper than the rails with which Thomson had experimented. Carnegie realized Doddized rails could be a major windfall for him. But in reporting the extremely intriguing find to his more conservative brother, he promised to make no hasty investments, and the initial interest quickly escalated. However, and while Carnegie's friends traveled through Switzerland, he returned to London to open negotiations in earnest with Dodds to secure the exclusive American rights for the use of the Englishman's patent. For the moment, Carnegie was concerned with ingratiating himself with Dodds and his partners. His magnetic personality and power of persuasion were difficult to fend off, and Dodds succumbed to giving him the American rights to his patents without a shilling changing hands. Having had to exercise every whit of my business ability to convince these gentlemen that it was far better to give our party their patents without any cash down than to give them £5,000 of gold from others, Carnegie crowed in a letter home. But I have succeeded and feel repaid for the 3 weeks I have lost in Switzerland. Carnegie, whose interest in manufacturing processes for iron and steel first emerged on his trip, subsequently visited ironworks in Prussia. The one positive takeaway from Dodd's experience was that Carnegie recognized his own power of persuasion, his skill as salesman. With his storytelling skills, his ability to fall in and out of a Scottish brogue, his earnestness, he was downright charming. And as he sought further expand his investments and garner more personal power, he would need the charisma in confronting two men who offered formidable obstacles. One was William Orton, and the other George Pullman, the supremely arrogant founder of the Pullman Palace Car Company. In 1867, Carnegie refocused on what he knew best, telegraphy and railroads, in dividing treasures to be had. These were enterprises where he could go in even. In the words he had used with Scott, in the telegraphy industry, a little game was being played with Telegraph, bully Western Union. The game exemplified the age's cult of opportunity, and Carnegie decided to have a go. Western Union's own greed perpetuated the game, which was modeled after the David and Goliath idea in exacting a toll in the form of a payoff or buyout. Before stepping aside, organized in 1856 and determined to consolidate the industry, Western Union immediately began absorbing competitive firms entrenched in key cities, such as Carnegie's old firm, the Atlantic and Ohio Telegraph Company. After the Civil War, which proved how indispensable the new technology was by aiding the two armed forces, expansion accelerated. At times, the shopping spree realized an opportunity to profit by starting rival firms that were invariably purchased by Western Union at a premium. Carnegie, who owned Western Union stock, was well aware of how profitable the business was, so it was a logical step for him and sundry associates to join the game in 1867 by organizing the Keystone Telegraph Company. Chartered on April 9th, Keystone Telegraph's initial capital was set at $50,000, with 1,000 shares issued. Again, playing the role of venture capitalist, Carnegie, along with Thomson and Scott, invested in the company, but did not take an official management position. He did, however, secure a key advantage for the company from his friends at the Pennsylvania Railroad. He obtained the right to string 2 wires along the railroad's poles running from Pittsburgh to Philadelphia for a nominal fee per mile. Before Keystone ever strung a wire or sank a pole, the company was approached not by Western Union, but by another larger player, the Pacific and Atlantic Telegraph Company, P&A. Impressed with Carnegie's connections with the railroads and hoping that he would arrange similar deals as he had with the Pennsylvania, the Pacific and Atlantic offered a swap of 6,000 of their shares, valued at 150,000, for Keystone's 1,000, tripling the value of Carnegie's company without a pole being planted. Fast becoming a wily business veteran, Carnegie aided the negotiations consummated in September 1867, and was able to arrange for his friend David McCargo to be made the P&A General Superintendent, which gave him a strong ally in the company's upper ranks. For himself, Carnegie arranged a deal whereby he would manage the installation of the wires along the Pennsylvania's line, but he didn't want to be paid in cash. Instead, the ravenous accumulator of stock was paid $3 of stock for every $1 of construction cost. He was willing to sacrifice a short-term gain for a long-term control of a company. This is a technique he would use repeatedly.